Okay. Sorry about that, everybody. We've literally just now figured out that my microphone has not been working for the past, what has this been, like almost 40 minutes?
Yeah, 40 minutes.
Yeah, so you probably just heard Arbaris talking to himself this whole time. Um, so I'm Shufflecat. We're doing Play It Like You Know It, and Arbaris has just been answering my questions. I'm not sure what to do about that. I'll see later how it's going. We're just gonna roll with this. I'm not sure what we were talking about before. I think I brought up Windstrike, and you were talking about how to use it.
Yes.
Um, let's see. You said about it's kind of like it's a good interrupt tool. It makes you really strong against melees. I see. But say you're against a composition that has an inhibitor and like a seeker with like a psychopomp or something like that. A whole bunch of ranged people. Nobody's going to be getting up in your face, and it's really hard to try and figure out a way of using Wind Strike every time it comes off a cooldown.
Typically, against that, I'd either be trying to use it to interrupt the inhib more, because he would have the shortest range of all of those bloodlines. So then he would be the easiest to hit, as well as one who's more susceptible to interrupts because he has to always be casting for him to be effective, really truly effective. Like the pomp's always healing, but if she sees you running up to her, she can very easily just spell block. So
True.
you have to avoid getting spell blocked. And with Seeker, um, if you're deciding to pressure him, then he can illusion out, or he could just blitz away from you. Whereas he has dots, so once he shoots those, if you interrupt an M1, he already has his fire on the ground doing damage, or his ice arrow on the ground doing damage. So you have to be really careful about avoiding both of those as well.
Hmm.
So Inhib, since he doesn't have any dot effects or stuff like that, he's probably the most susceptible to being hit by it. So I would probably typically be aiming it to interrupt him.
Yeah, and what necessarily would which skills of his are kind of the most important to be interrupting? I'm pretty sure it doesn't stop his ultimate from channeling.
It
Correct?
doesn't stop channels, it does stop the cast time. So you could interrupt probably the M1 or M2 would just be the basic ones. The Q you could, but at the same time he could also end up spell blocking you, preventing you from interrupting anything, which would just put you in a bad position.
Sure.
So I would probably be looking at just interrupting his pressure in general, which is his M1, M2 combos.
Okay. And also possibly knocking him into a bad position, like behind a pillar or something like that.
Yeah, pushing him away from his allies, that would also be effective.
Hmm. I
If
don't
you
remember. Oh, what? Go ahead.
if you were playing with like a Thorn or somebody, you could also use one strike on him to slow for your Thorn to be able to CC or get him into a bad position, because since he's slowed, you could um, the Thorn would be able to land a pull easier. So you can force his positioning even more by with the Thorn on your team following up with his pull and his E and all that good stuff as well.
Hmm. Yeah, and I don't remember if you brought this up earlier about the fact that you can EX1 to put a boomerang storm on the ground, and then if you position yourself just correctly, you can actually push people back into it when they're trying to leave.
Yes, I haven't brought that up. I don't know if you did either, but that is another really good way to use it. If you choose to go with the boomstorm route, then Windstrike is very, very good at putting him back into the storm,
Yeah.
which will force a lot of cooldowns out of them.
Hmm. And actually,
So,
while we're on the subject of Boomstorm, I don't think I really understand the stunning effect on the Boomerang Storm, because it seems like there's just certain situations where I thought it should have stunned people, but it doesn't. So can you clear that up a bit?
you throw the two boomerangs in the line, okay,
Hmm.
and they head to wherever your cursor is. So they have to. Those two boomerangs have to collide with somebody to stun them. Once it gets to wherever you targeted it, then it becomes a storm and it no longer stuns.
I see.
So you have to hit them with the projectile part of the boomerang storm to actually stun them.
Hmm. I guess that's another question I had is because it's a projectile. I've noticed it kind of has these weird properties when it hits like a Chronoflux or a Thorn's ultimate. It almost seems like it's immune to both of those effects, and instead just turns into a storm wherever it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it does.
What it should do for reflect, which is Harold's thing, is it really should slow the two boomerangs down and reflect them back at you, but instead, once it touches the Chronoflux, it instantly becomes a boomerang storm.
Yeah.
And I think that it varies whose it becomes. Like sometimes I think it can become the Heralds, but other times it stayed the Nomads. So I'm not sure about that, how that's supposed to work.
Yeah, I've seen many times where I was afraid of it, but it was still mine anyway. It's weird. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's really weird with Reflect and Thorn Ult, and also Earthstorm from Glutton. If one of the boomerangs hits the edge of the Earthstorm anywhere, it'll pop into Boomerang Storm as well. Because the projectiles, they can't be slowed or interrupted in any way, otherwise it becomes a Boomerang Storm. They can go through players, though, because it does say that they can pierce. So.
Oh, really? Oh yeah, because you can just use it behind somebody.
Yeah. So if you wanted to stun somebody, then you'd want your mouse is behind them so that you stun them on the way there, and then you can cue them into it. So that's just another way to make Boomerang Storm a bit more effective.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you know how it reacts to what's it called? Vanguard's Reflect.
Vanguard's Reflect may actually reflect them. I think so. Are you in a game at the moment?
Yes, I am. I was about to ask you, is it actually streaming that? Because I tried switching.
No, it's on the Splash.
Okay. Is it doing
Nomad.
It might be doing it in about 6 seconds for you.
Okay.
Okay. I was going to ask another question in regards to reflection. However, we're up against an igniter right here. Kind of like, I suppose, go with the same keep sluggish on him part, and keep sluggish on the igniter in order to slow him down.
That'd probably be your best bet against the igniter. Thorn Pomp, I think you're fighting. It's a Harbinger.
Yes, it's Harbinger. Okay, so it's coming through correctly now.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
The issue was actually that I didn't refresh the stream, and so it had the old page up still.
Weird.
And it didn't refresh on its own like I thought it would, so that was my fault.
Okay.
Forgot to refresh it with you. You should be all over the Harbinger here. You won't have to worry about the igniter much, but Nomad's really good against Harbinger. If he grips you, you can cue him off of you. If he spaces back to you, then you should haste away. So just aim at really controlling the Harbinger here.
Okay.
Which includes Sluggish as well.
Oh, so don't save it for the igniter.
No. The igniter can dodge it, but with Living Flame, and if he is, then that's going to make it really difficult. You did perfect there. Once he landed his grip on you, then you hasted away. And so you still have a really good positioning advantage over him at the moment. And as a reward from that, your team was a bit ahead on health as well.
Well, I just completely ate the igniter's ult right there. So,
that's probably no good.
No, that's not really too good, especially since I knew it was coming. So we're probably needing more of my tornado calls on the second pump. I think I'm neglecting that a little bit too much, I suppose.
Maybe you could also just go ahead and CC the igniter like you did at the start of the game. That'd be acceptable as well.
Mm-hmm.
And with Harbinger, I would probably be using Boomerang Storm, because he has a lot of ways he can get out of your ult or interrupt it. If he has a good aim, then he can grip you out of it if you're hasting, so it can be pretty risky ulting instead of doing other things there.
Oh yeah, that is another thing that's not too obvious, is that Blood Grip actually interrupts your ultimate. Yeah.
Yes. Because not only does it move you, but it silences as well, so.
Yeah. When he was ulting me earlier, I went ahead and I used a tornado on him, and I know his ultimate actually reduces debuff duration on it. Is it actually worth it? to use a tornado on him? Or
Yes.
okay,
Because
definitely.
if you don't and you leave him unchecked, then he will M1 you down and kill you. So you have to be using your CC on him still when he's ulted. He'll get out of the slows and stuff too quickly, but the tornado gives you a good lead if you dodge his grip afterwards. If you don't dodge the grip, then that's where you're really hurting.
Yeah. Not too
Very
sure.
good. CC'd the igniter right after the Thorn CC was done. That was really good.
Not sure. Too sure if I remember this last patch. His blood crypt still silences, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's right.
The igniter was hitting you pretty freely the entire time.
Oh,
So,
really? That was
Yes.
That was the thing. I was focusing, I guess, more on the harbinger at that point. So
Yeah.
that was
A
probably
bit
what.
a bit too much tunnel vision on him,
Okay.
I think. Um, it wasn't too bad though. You did okay with the hard, but with the igniter hitting you with his ignite debuff and then landing M1s on you, it did a lot of damage to you. So
So, like,
there
go ahead.
you probably should have just tried to land your tornado on the igniter. That would probably would have been the game changer.
Okay. So what was the decision at that point? Was it what did I do instead?
You just continued to M1 down Harbinger, and it was doing okay damage, but it wasn't really enough. Like you had needed to get Igniter off you as well, because he was free hitting you when the Harb was doing some damage to you. I do believe that the Igniter did more damage to you there than the Harbinger. I'm not sure, but I wouldn't doubt it if he did.
Yep. Fireball did 840 damage to me, whereas Shadow Slash only did 667. And
So Igniter probably hit you with another 1 or 2 M1s than the Harbinger hit you with.
and Ignite did 128. So that was
Yeah, he refreshed it a lot before you died. He refreshed it like 2 or 3 times.
okay. So
He used the fire beam to
definitely-
put it on everybody, and then he just M1'd you, which reapplied it constantly.
Yeah,
The Shadow Bolt too. That should probably be, if you ever see him casting that, if you can help it, you should probably try to save your Q for it. But it may be a bit risky because if he just chooses to never Shadow Bolt, then you would be sitting on your Q for a long time. So
That's
I'm not sure how that would play out.
Plus, also, if you get the timing on it wrong, you could actually end up getting hit by a Shadow Bolt in the face if you're running up to him or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Which kind of actually reminds me, I was having games the other day where people thought it was funny. They were doing triple Astro, and I couldn't figure out exactly the timing to do a Q right after their space because, of course, his space is going to interrupt your Q if you do it too early. But if you do it too late, his M1's going to hit you.
Yes.
So can you actually, is it reliable to wind strike back an Astro who's spaced on you?
Yeah, no, totally. If you can't time it correctly though, because his space will interrupt you, like I think you did say. So what you have to do is you probably will end up getting hit by someone, but he won't be on you anymore, which is the key thing, because he very easily could continue to M1 you if you didn't X strike him away.
Yeah. And of course, obviously, after an Astro does that, you're trying not to hit his trance, but obviously also you want to do damage to him.
Yeah.
But all of your
So how you go about doing that is if you were to excuse the sniffles, by the way. I've had sniffles all day. If you Q him away, then you should probably try to fake him out by throwing an X strike kind of near him. Don't plan on hitting him, like throw it behind him or something. And then if he trances that, like he should try to, then if the trance does get hit, then you should haste to catch up to him, and then just tunnel M1s into him, because Astro's kind of weak against Nomad in that regard. Once trance is down, he can't really do anything about it. And it It would probably be in your best interest, though, to just try to avoid the trance, which is really difficult, seeing as how it's instant.
Yeah.
But you'd have to do that just by kind of throwing your abilities around him, which is unreliable, really. So
Yeah.
you should probably go into the matchup expecting to hit trance, and then just try to work around that.
Of course, yeah. Because naturally, you can't be perfect, and you're probably going to hit one.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So mostly people should work on, if they're trying to get better at Nomad, it should be faking out trances so that they can get people to waste them.
Yep.
Okay. So you're going to be wasting a lot of your abilities, but they're going to be wasting abilities which are much more important, like trances. Or how would you...
Yes. The thing with trances is that if they use them and they don't get hit, then it puts the that particular bloodline down to like an entire ability. Like if they never hit the trance, then you just have an extra ability that they don't have. But if they do hit the trance, then the things that they do are really, really good. So optimally, if you never hit a trance, then you should always win, because that's an ability that they don't even have, or that they can never really use, because it's always dodged, so it's not really effective.
I think I kind of get how you're saying that.
Okay.
All right, so...
I didn't explain it very well, so...
Oh, no, it was perfectly fine. I was also just trying not to get myself killed by that.
Got him. Yeah.
So, we've got ourselves... What is the enemy here? It's a
Arbaris Nomad.
Yeah. So I'm trying to do my best at pressuring this alchemist to use his barrier and then follow that up with a boomstorm. It didn't seem like it was working too well, especially since I was spending a lot of my time kind of fighting with that with the Nomad. Should I be kind of more focusing on the alchemist herself? I mean, because she doesn't really
I would
have
probably
that much.
focus on beating the Nomad.
Oh, really?
Yes. If you see the Nomad's haste, then try to get sluggish on him, and then that's where your decisions could change. You could choose to go on the Alch a bit more. If you see Alch's barrier, then you can go on the Alch as well if she doesn't barrier herself. It's just there's a lot of options, but the key thing would be to either be on the Harbinger or be on the Nomad, I think, and just try to. You can really outzone another Nomad just by throwing all your X strikes at her, and then if she ever has to haste to avoid one, then yeah, right there is how you opened with Sluggish. If you had waited a second, then you could have got a free Sluggish on their Nomad, so that would have made it a bit more effective and better to catch her.
And I find that with pretty much all of the bloodlines, I kind of feel a need to, and I think a lot of people feel this need to, as soon as you see the enemy, you gotta throw something at them or something, you know, like, you gotta start off the game with pressure and hit something. And
yeah,
when I watch upper, kind of higher tier players, I kind of notice that they don't seem to do that very often.
Yeah, they don't often initiate as soon as they see the other person. They wait until they make sure they land an ability. Like with Mithy, he'll cancel his harpoon as many times as he needs to but he almost always lands it. And the big thing about that is that whenever he lands it, then that's their initiation. Like they can set everything off of that. So if he doesn't hit that, it's a lot more detrimental. So when you rush into it, you have a better chance of missing it, which makes it kind of risky.
That's true. What would you use to gauge, or like, what would you initiate with, kind of, with Nomad?
Just M1 harass.
Just
nope.
M1, because it's gonna refresh quickly.
Yes. Also, you could, if you know you can land your sluggish, like if they do the same thing at the start of every round, like they just run up and you throw your sluggish ahead of them, then typically they'll still run into it. So you might want to try opening with sluggish, and then if you land your sluggish, pressure them. If you don't, then just don't worry about it and keep harassing with M1.
Mm-hmm. So also with certain bloodlines, I actually like opening up with space. I don't feel like that's very viable with Nomad, is it?
It's okay. I wouldn't recommend it personally, but it's okay.
It doesn't really get you all that much farther ahead.
Yeah.
But you also lose something that could potentially save you if, say, a Vanguard jumps on you in the beginning of the match.
Then you would have nowhere to get away from him other than your wind strike, which would be kind of risky.
Yeah, if for some reason that fails, then you've got a really big problem.
Yeah. Once the Thorn landed that pull, you should have been starting to cast your extract. Once you see him like pull, you should really try to combo more with him.
Oh, okay. Not sure when you're talking about, but it does sound like a
He
really
landed
good
a
thing.
pull on, I think it was the Nomad and the Alchemist. And so if you had seen him start throw his pull down and you started to cast your extract, then you could add a double extract there, which would have been really, really effective,
Yeah.
just as far as pressure goes. So
And it's important to note that people can't cast abilities when they're being pulled, so they can't use Kunju or any kind of trance or something like that, and you can be sure that you're not going to hit something like that.
yeah.
Alright. Okay, so... Sorry, just a moment.
That's fine.
So, we've got this Alchemist, with her barrier on cooldown, and this Nomad without her haste or something like that. What can I do to kind of like, I can obviously put people back into Thorn's ultimate using Wind Strike, right?
Yes.
Okay.
You should really be focusing on trying to keep them off your pomp though right now since she's already low. That boomerang storm there on the Nomad when she was under you was okay. It slowed her, which is the big effect from it.
Oh yeah, and of course also it always it makes people kind of afraid, I suppose. Like it keeps people on the move, and if they're on the move, then they're not casting.
Yeah.
And I suppose that's kind of like one of the big things about Nomad is you can be on the move all the time, so you should make other people kind of like try to move around a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a really good tornado. She had just started a haste, so it really negated her haste cooldown.
Oh yeah, and I hate it when people do that. When, especially I noticed before that if you get feared, when you have actually makes you run away faster. So you run away for a longer distance, and that actually for any Blood Priest players, that's a really cool thing. Is if you see somebody a Nomad who's about to use haste or something like that, you just cast fear on them.
Yeah. And they go so far. They run forever, so.
So if something like that happens to you, obviously your haste is on cooldown. You really can't get back into the battle for quite a while. What would you do in that situation?
You just gotta run and get back up to him.
That's
and throw your sluggish as the initiation again.
Yeah. Because you can move while casting that, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you can. I probably have time for one more game before I'm going to need to head off.
Actually, you're right. We probably should have...
I think we're at an hour now, but...
Yeah, we're actually at an hour. So, we can finish up right now if you wanted to.
Oh, that's fine. Just whenever.
Okay.
There's no rush.
So I'd like to give a big shout out to my team, Revel Strike and Captain D. And, of course, thank you for coming on the show. I wanted to remind everybody that you can check out Arbaris' stream, if I can get that up on the screen, at twitch.tv/Arbaris. Thank you for being on the show, Arbaris.
No problem. Hopefully I'll be able to help you out some more again sometime.
Yep. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time.